So we wanted them to be able to share with us why they continue to support and be a part of this autism journey with us. So I'm just going to invite Jenny to just show a quick video for us, for a couple of the students who shared their thoughts. And I have two of them here, and I just ask them one or two questions as we talk about other things. All right. Can you make it louder?
Also one of the vice presidents of patient care, along with Tiffany, for American Pharmacists Association, which is also known as APHA. So the goal of APHA is to really try to reach different patient populations, and we do a lot of community outreach at different senior centers and at different middle schools to try to kind of educate the outside world about medication use and things of that nature. So one of the biggest events that we had the opportunity to work on was actually the Special Needs Fall Festival, which was the first of its kind. And we started it 2 years ago, and it was in collaboration with MyGOAL Autism. And so this was an amazing event because basically we invited families who have kids with special needs, and then we all came together as a school, as different organizations, and each organization kind of had its own station set up. So we had different stations set up for the kids, interactive games, interactive activities. There were arts and crafts, there was pumpkin painting, and we also had some educational things as well for the parents. So things about healthy eating, things about immunizations. So it was a really great and interactive event that was targeted to really have the kids have a good time, as well as allow the parents to kind of be educated too, and just to kind of create this really fun and interactive environment for these families. And so this opportunity would not have been possible without the support of MyGOAL Autism. They really helped us a lot in terms of, the organizing. We invited a lot of different vendors. And it was such an amazing event, and everyone had such a great time. So the past 2 years we've had it. Each year we've had around 150 attendees, and actually almost 80 student volunteers. And these student volunteers came from everywhere. So different student organization within the pharmacy school, and also different student organizations within Rutgers. So it really brought people together to kind of come together and participate in this community service event and bring a smile to these kids' faces. I remember I think it was 2 years ago, one of the kids that was there, he was deaf, so he didn't know how to, he didn't speak. So he actually taught me how to say hi, how are you in sign language, and we kind of communicated that way. So it was really an inspiring event, and everybody kind of created amazing memories, and it was an amazing experience for all of us. And I'm really grateful for having MyGOAL Autism to kind of make this possible, make this event possible. We really couldn't have done it without them. So I want to say thank you to MyGOAL Autism and for everything and for all your support in the past 2 years for this event. And hopefully it'll become an annual thing and we'll be able to have it every fall.
Hello, I'm Jessica. I'm a third-year pharmacy student at Rutgers University. Last year, I was able to volunteer for the Special Needs Fall Festival, and I was also able to be part of a team for the virtual bowl-a-thon. Both events were super fun, but they were also really great ways for me to be able to feel like I was doing something that could help make an impact on someone's life. Especially during such challenging times right now, I now really treasure those experiences of being able to volunteer with other members of the community and support kids with special needs and their families, and I hope to continue to doing the same in the future.
Hi, my name is Diana, and I had the pleasure of being involved with MyGOAL Autism through the American Pharmacists Association, Academy of Student Pharmacists, an organization at Rutgers. I remember actually back my P2 year, which was 2 years ago, I was able to participate at the MyGOAL Autism Special Needs Fall Festival, and we had booths set up, we had games set up, we had different activities for the children to play, and I was able to participate and actually be directly involved and play games and and make fun connections. And I think that event has really stuck with me throughout the years. I think I made a lot of good memories, and I think it really goes to say what kind of a great organization this is and how well it impacts not only the children that are involved and the families, but also the students, because I feel like I've taken all those memories and those experiences, and I've now been able to translate that into my rotations, and I'm going to take that with me throughout my life and throughout my career. So it's been a really rewarding experience to be a part of this.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Lin. I served as the Patient Care Vice President of APHA at Rutgers University School of Pharmacy for 2 years with Monica. Over that time, we were able to partner with MyGOAL Autism in hosting and volunteering for several events, most notably our Special Needs Fall Festival. It was a great experience being able to meet all of the individuals at MyGOAL's leadership, but also being able to meet all the children and families that MyGOAL serves. For me personally, as a future pharmacist, having experience working with and interacting with people of all different backgrounds will undoubtedly allow me to become a more empathetic and a more caring clinician moving forward with my career. So here's a big thank you to MyGOAL Autism and all of the individuals that we've been able to meet. It's been a great pleasure.
Volunteering with MyGOAL has honestly been a highlight of my college experience. It's not only showed me how I, as a student pharmacist and future provider, can care for this community, but it's allowed me to connect with the families and their children in a really meaningful way. Working with the children especially has been so amazing, and my volunteer experience really let me feel like I was making a true impact. My time with MyGOAL has been a super rewarding experience, and I felt myself grow as both a student practitioner and a person overall, and it's definitely an experience I've cherished for a very long time.
Wow, wasn't that amazing? I watched this video earlier and I was choked up because I just, I gave a lecture in class to the students, and as part of my introduction, I said, we have a foundation. And I remember Monica reaching out to me afterwards and saying, we want to do something with you. And they brainstormed and came up with the concept. And as you heard, it's like life changing. So I invited Monica and a number of the students to join us tonight, and I'm just going to just have you kind of share a little bit about, why did you decide to do this? So we'll start with you, Monica, and then and Nihal too.
Sure, yeah. Hi, guys. I'm really happy to be here and to be part of this amazing event, and to have been able to collaborate with this great organization. So I think really when I sort of came up with the idea, I was thinking that, knowing I remember doing a little bit of research about MyGOAL Autism, thinking about what it stands for and what the goal is and what the purpose of the organization is. And I thought to myself, well, I feel like a lot of pharmacy students don't really have the opportunity to do community service. And so seeing that sort of need on our end and seeing that MyGOAL Autism kind of aims to create these different opportunities for not only the parents, but also for the kids to have kind of a good time and create different events and programs, I said, well, why don't we try to do something for them? And I think that, I didn't expect it to kind of grow into what it did become. And I think that was sort of the best part, was kind of seeing how enthusiastic students have been about volunteering for this and participating in it. And it was great, because I would literally reach out to an organization and ask them, are you guys interested in having a station? And they would say, yes, absolutely. We'll provide the resources, we'll provide everything. So everyone was so excited about participating and being a part of this event. And we could really see, after the event and during the event, the impact that we had on the kids, seeing how happy everybody was and seeing how a lot of them didn't even want to leave. Like, we didn't even expect having that many people at once in the room, and we ended up getting over 150 people each year. So I think that, seeing that and being a part of this event, and having the support of my goal autism and having the support of Dr. Genevieve has just been amazing, and it's been such a valuable experience. And I told even like the current VPs, since I'm graduating this year, I told the current VPs to keep me in the loop with the planning and everything, because I think it's really such an impactful event that I still want to be a part of, even even after I leave Rutgers. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, definitely. And, I was just so moved by how enthusiastic the students themselves were. And they had a shift. Like she talked about 80 students volunteering in an environment. So Neha, tell me a little bit about your experience and how did you guys coordinate all that number of people?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi everyone, my name is Neha. I'm currently a P3 student pharmacist, so I have a little bit more time to go. But when I look back, this is definitely one of the highlights of my personal college experience. And um, last year I served as president of the American Pharmacists Association. So a lot of when I was reaching out to organizations with Monica and kind of working to put this together, I think a lot of what I saw was the enthusiasm that I hadn't always seen, students wanting to come to events and students wanting to work with certain organizations and communities. But at this event, we had student athletes come out. We had people who weren't even in the pharmacy school. We had, different kinds of organizations that serve different purposes all come together for this event. We had students wanting to make crafts, students wanting to lead dances. We had a dance team come out who taught, the kids the little dances and stuff. We even had an Ask Your Pharmacist booth, which I think was especially amazing for the students because getting to see pharmacists in action and, how they kind of support this community is something so unique that a lot of the student pharmacists haven't really been able to see through the curriculum. And so I think it was such a special opportunity and one that I think excited the students a lot. And the next year, like we already had organizations asking us like, are you going to still have that event? What can we do? Like, how can we partake? And that kind of energy from my peers and even getting to experience it myself with how amazing everyone, at MyGOAL is and Dr. Genevieve and Jenny and working with everyone, I think putting it together was fun. Like, and that's very rare for an event. Kind of working with everyone is also exciting. So it's really, really great.
That is wonderful. So you talked about how this has impacted you in many ways personally. Can you shed some light a little bit about how do you think about these individuals differently? Or how do you approach it? How do you communicate with other people about your experience?
Yeah, I can go ahead. So I remember my first year at the festival, actually, we had kind of marketed it or like shared the event as towards younger children, but I actually had a Rutgers student come to the event and he is special needs and he was talking about how he'd never found a community on campus where he could, or like an event catered towards him. And he had so much fun and to meet another student, who was my age and kind of be able to support him through that, I think, and give him a space and understand kind of what his college journey has been like and how he found this event impactful and how he talked about how he wished he had something like this when he was younger was really personally impactful for me because as a student pharmacist, like I mentioned, this isn't a community that we always get to work with, and I think it's so special to have an event like this because it's truly fun. It's fun for all parties involved, and and educating the children about little things like healthy snacks and little smoothie recipes, things like that, but also playing games with them. I mean, it's so heartwarming and kind of, my favorite part was playing games with them or coloring with them and seeing how creative and brilliant they are and how energetic they are. And I think that's such a rare experience. I think not a lot of students always get that. So for me, it was impactful both as a student pharmacist, but also just as a student and as a person to kind of have that opportunity.
Wow, awesome. How about you, Monica?
yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Neha said. I think that the most, impactful part was kind of seeing, this event was advertised in a way that is, it was geared towards kids with special needs. But during the event, you don't, they're not any different, and I think that's the most impactful part was kind of seeing that, these in the end of the day, they're just little kids who want to come out and have fun and have a good time. And I think kind of seeing that, and when you're in the moment, you don't, these are not special needs kids. These are just, normal kids having a good time. And I think that was really special to see that, and to kind of see how much they really enjoyed themselves. And I remember learning from Dr. Genevieve that a lot of times, depending on the special need that the child has, they don't want too much stimulation like in their environment. And just like learning about these little nuances, it kind of helped us to see how are we going to plan it in a way that will tailor to what their needs are. And I think we were able to really accomplish that because everybody really seemed like they had a good time. And I think my favorite story is the one, you know, I shared in the video when that one child came up to me. He was deaf, and he showed me how to do. He had an aid, actually. That's the only reason I understood what it meant. So she told me, she said, he's trying to say hi, how are you? And the only sign language that I actually know is I know all the alphabet, so I could spell out my name for him. So I was able to spell out my name for him that way. So it was really such a beautiful event, and just working with all the little kids, it was amazing. And it's not an opportunity that a lot of student pharmacists get. So I think that it was really, really special in that way. So.
Well, we want to say thank you guys so much, because anytime we will reach out to you too for ideas and thoughts and, you know, volunteering. And right now, you know, to plug it, we're out planning the virtual Special Needs Fall Festival coming up this November. We have it coming up on the 22nd, and the students are in the midst of planning it. So please, if you're watching us, stay tuned. And, you know, we invite such ideas. You know, like we shared here, Monica just felt this passion and need to help, and they took it and they ran with it. And I'm so proud of you guys, because you truly are the future of our generation, and you were able to take an issue and magnify it. And at the end of the day, not only did it impact others, it also inspired all of us. So as we're going with our theme of I and M tonight, you are inspirational, and we magnify what you did virtually. Everybody's watching you, and I'm hopeful that whatever you decide to do, some employer is watching you and say, I want that person on my team. See, I always have to promote my pharmacist student. So thank you so much for being a part of that. As part of this program tonight, I'm going to turn it over to the other volunteers that we've had. So as an organization, our mission is very simple. We exist to support families facing autism. And we do this by creating connections and providing resources. So you heard about the creation of connection piece of it. We connected with the students, they connected with the families, they connected with the kids. That's one aspect of our mission. The other aspect is provide resources. And I believe that we need to be able to provide tangible resources to people. And we do sometimes do those things through education. So we provide education so people know what to do when they face challenges, how to really advocate for your child in the school system, how to really have conversations, which healthcare professionals to connect to, what questions to ask, and so on and so forth. So we do those things through our support group programming. So for example, next week we have an education program coming up with Dr. Torres from the New Jersey ACE as part of Rutgers University. So that's going to be a free program, for example. But beyond that, for 12 years, we have been proud to have given out over $100,000 to families in the United States alone. So not even talking about our work overseas in Ghana and Liberia. We're talking United States of America. We're talking when we raise money and we're saying we're doing fundraising, it goes back in the hands of the people that we know need it. And so for that reason, we're doing this fundraising tonight. We are saying, join this movement to help families. And I have team members who I know they can't say no. I'm like, if you say no, you hear a voice in your head, the back of your head. I'll show up in your dreams, maybe. You're like, so before they know what's happening, they've said yes. And I'm like, did I just say yes to her? You know, I'm like, whatever I have to do to just get a point across to you that I need you to be a part of this team. So I'm speaking to somebody out there. I need you to join this team. And I have three of the people, my favorite people in the world. I have a lot of favorite people, but these people are really special. Two of them actually happen to be my bosses. But more than that, they valued the work. And they, from day one, when they knew Nicholas's story and they knew that I'm starting this thing, they've said yes. And then the third person is someone who was a mentee. And by default, I just say, hey, would you want to serve on this thing? And she just couldn't say no. So here she is. So I have Dr. Sudha Naraswamy and also Dr. Nancy Palamara. They both just go by Simple Sudha and Nancy. And I also have Dr. Norma in room now. She's a gastroenterologist. And, these individuals have been part of our grant committee. And Sudha is the chair of our grant committee, and she's also the secretary of our board. And so I'm gonna turn it over to her. So she's gonna lead this conversation about an aspect of our work that we don't often talk about. People know I come out there and say, hey, we've raised money and we're giving money out, but they don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. And I got to put on a disclaimer, I have no voice in how this money gets selected. And thankfully, I don't, because I leave it for these guys who are very scientific about their process, I tell you. So I'm going to turn it over to Sudha, who has been an amazing source of help through this whole journey. She came to one of our gala events and she said, Genevieve, how can I help? And has been, those beautiful newsletters that you get every month. If you've been getting our newsletter, she writes them. Anytime I'm like, you're so busy, let me take it off your hands, she finds a way to squeeze it in her day to do it. And so I am so incredibly blessed to have her be a part of the team, secretary for our board, and ask a lot of questions. So at this point, I'm just gonna, turn it over to Sudha as she has the conversation with two of our grant committee members.
Hey, Genevieve, thank you. Well, you may say that you twist our arms to make it happen, but who could say no to such a great cause? And look at how well-spoken the Rutgers students were, Neha and Monica, and they're the future of our generation. And that makes us very, very proud. And, talking about the grant committee and the grant process, as you said, the grant process and the monies that we give out absolutely personifies the mission and vision of MyGOAL. And, thinking back to, 12 years ago when you first started and you had this vision of, what we need to provide for families in need today. There are national organizations that do research and do dig into what causes the disease or what causes this journey to take place in families. But there are families that need that help today. And looking at the amount of money that we've put together and to give to families, $100,000 is not a small amount. And the fact that initially we needed to do outreach to let people know that, hey, we have these dollars to give out, please apply. And then just a few short years later, you've got hundreds of applications that now we had to get the committee to be larger and move to a more of a online format, so we reach more people and we could provide those funds in a timely manner to people that needed it, either for enrichment programs that they couldn't pay for because of their funds, or any type of basic needs coverage and medication coverage that wasn't provided for through their insurance. I mean, this is the type of work that MyGOAL is known for, and how can we say no to not want to be part of that? So I'm happy to share this journey and talk about it with Nancy and Noma today. So Nancy and Noma, let's talk about your thoughts. Maybe Nancy first, and how did you how did you find the grant committee when you said yes? What did you think that it would be, and what did it turn out to be for you in terms of the experience?
So how did I find the grant committee? My goodness, I think my experience with MyGOAL goes back way longer than the grant committee. In fact, I really have known about it and been part of it as much as I think I could commit to since its inception, knowing Genevieve before that, and just feeling a very incredible connection when Genevieve came to work with me at the hospital where we were at the time, and discovering that we had children really at the same ages. My daughter's just a few months younger than Nicholas, and it just really started then. And getting involved in the beginning when I think I got the first invitation to I believe it was like a candlelight ceremony, correct? I think Genevieve, I couldn't make it to that, but it was an invitation that I received from Genevieve, which was more of a thank you. And I remember at the time saying, what are you thanking me for? I didn't do anything, and it was about being an employer and recognizing the needs of a parent with a child that was newly diagnosed with autism. And I thought, what a small thing. But at the time I was invited to that event, I was going through my own sort of personal situation and said, you know, everybody needs support, and I needed support through a divorce, and this organization needs support. So it started there. I was very motivated and very excited to join, and got involved with a lot of things, and I think maybe a little bit over my head in some cases, and found that the commitment and the time commitment started to get a little bit too great. And honestly, I think I pulled back a little bit, and I wasn't doing as much as I really had wanted. And then Genevieve came to me with this couple of ideas of doing some more micro volunteering, you know, and that's, I think, important for people who are working full time and raising a family. And so MyGOAL offers those types of opportunities, and sitting and her saying, okay, what can you commit to? And I thought, okay, the grant committee is something I can do. I can commit to that 2 times a year. It kind of spoke to me, back to what Genevieve said, very scientific method. It's kind of how we think, us pharmacists and doctors. And so I said, this is something I think I can do. And that's really how it got started. And it's been incredibly rewarding. I try to continue to work on and attend some of the other bigger events, but no, I can't give the full commitment to this. But the grant committee, again, it's something that speaks to me and allows me to volunteer in a level of commitment that works in my life right now. And I think that that's something that a lot of people can consider, right? You don't have to sign up for hours and hours and months, and you know, you can just do a little bit at a time, and every little bit matters.
Great. Hey, thanks, Nancy. That's exactly how I felt coming into MyGOAL, and working with Genevieve. And then, you know, I think I was there when you were just talking about starting MyGOAL, and to see it come to where it is today, 12 years later. You know, if I wasn't on the journey with you, it would be a hard thing to believe. Like we are actually here and making that small impact, but really, really profound impact on those families. Seeing their reaction when they are, announced that they received the award, the heartfelt and feelings that we're not able to award everybody who applies. That's always something that gets the grant committee every year. And that's why we're making these pleas and trying to reach out to a broader audience, so that that there is an organization here that really cares for families, to help them in their need now, especially during COVID and all the other challenges that may pose. So I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Noma and talk about your journey and your connection with MyGOAL, and what got you involved with the organization.
So how I call her Dr. G. You know how Dr. G was talking about some people that can't say no to her and she just pulls into things? Yeah, I'll be one of those people. So at least that was initially the case before, of course, I got to know about MyGOAL and get a personal connection with it myself. But Dr. G is one of my mentors, and so it's like you just cannot say no. And so she had reached out to me and said, hey, I need to connect you with what I'm doing. Like, I knew about MyGOAL, but I guess I was not connected with it in that particular type of level. So she's like, I think you would really like this. Like, at least getting to know me as a person, knowing like the things that I thrive on, the things that I would like to do, the things I would like to get involved with, the things that she knows that will be impactful. She's like, I think you really love this. Let me tell you a little bit more about this. And so it started with just volunteering at simple things like the bowl-a-thons, like it will help with registration or simple things like that. And then attending the galas every year. I remember last year seeing the videos from the families that were recipients of the grant awards. That was just almost like, I walked up to Dr. G after, I said, we have to see this every year. It was so touching, so impactful. And so this year when she said, I want you to help with the grant committee, I'm like, okay, just tell me what the time commitment was, what exactly I'll be doing, and if it's something I can do, why not? And then she told me, I was like, is that it? This is all I have to do? Oh, no, please sign me up. And of course, without a doubt, I can say it was really, 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 really a great experience. I mean, every aspect of volunteering with MyGOAL is very impactful, but I feel like this one was very, very personal. for me, because I don't know about a lot of people on here, but I'm a visual person by reading. So like when you talk about people who would rather watch a movie versus reading a book, I'm like one of those that would rather read a book because I can create a whole picture and even more in my head. So reading those essays of the paragraphs of people and their families, I felt like I was, and then having to make those decisions after, it was for me, it did something for me that I felt like doing that, like volunteering, I think in general just gives you an opportunity to be bigger than, to be part of something that's bigger than yourself. But from my goal in particular with the grant committee, that's just the way I felt like I was with those families sometimes as they were describing scenarios in their household. And so this is definitely something that I hope to continue to be a part of, as it was really, really impactful. That's the word I just keep on using. Yeah.
Thank you so much. When we talk about the holiday season now, and most people look at this time of year as an opportunity to donate to various organizations that they feel that connection with. But if you think about actually giving of your time and you see that impact of that time that you provide and that personal connection of, hey, you know what, we did a good thing by taking the funds that this organization raises and then giving it to those who need it in the moment. And that's what this organization is all about. And we wish we could expand the amount that we're able to do based on our fundraising efforts. And every year we look for that, and we try to expand it to as many families as we can do within the budget of the organization. So I'm hoping that the week of impact, the night of impact, during this holiday season will actually turn things around and help us, in 2021 to reach out to a lot more families and provide them with the funds that they need to, support their loved ones who are on the journey with autism. So I think this is an interesting question that, if you had to sum it up in one word, what word would you choose as your involvement with MyGOAL or the grant committee? What would you, this is like putting people on the spot, but what word comes to mind?
I could go first. I think for me, the one word would be challenging, and challenging in a good way, right? Not necessarily bad way challenging. A lot of people actually don't know this, but I have a brother with mental illness, right? And even though not the same, of course, with autism, those on the autistic spectrum, it's similar in a lot of ways in terms of the help that he needs in terms of to function with his ADLs, his everyday life, and some of the hardships and difficulties that the family has to face in terms of making decisions for him or going about their day-to-day life as a result of his mental illness. So for me, initially, coming on board with MyGOAL made everything so surreal. And of course, most people want to give back to a cause or an organization that has either impacted their life or impacted someone's life that they know directly, that they feel that they could connect to. So it just seemed like a very good and a natural fit, like initially, and it still is actually, I shouldn't say that, it still is, but it's hard when you cannot do everything sometimes. So sometimes that part I feel like is challenging, but then you have to remind yourself about the impact of what you can actually do and encourage yourself that way. Like you were talking about initially, how the grant committee, the hardest part for us, I think, is looking at the families that we had to say no to. I remember one of the applications that we had, we couldn't really tell whether or not as that the family could not really understand the questions because of the language barrier versus they were actually not responding well. And because of that, as a team, we had to make the hard decision not to put them among those that were selected. And really, I still remember that guy, and my heart really broke for that. So it's challenging in the sense that it's rewarding for the families that do get the grants, and we're able to help them with the goal of MyGOAL's vision, and that's awesome. And it's also challenging when you feel like there's still more to be done. And that's why we're doing this actually. We're raising funds, right? Because we're like, the number that we met last year, we want to do even more this year. We've given out $100,000, but there's still more to be done. And so that's why we just have to keep on going and keep on pushing. But such is life. I mean, life really has to challenge you. Otherwise you get comfortable in where you are. So the other way I would say challenging also describes it is that it makes you less selfish, because you see that life is just not all about you. Like, you can't finish a grand committee meeting and then pick on something trivial to be angry about, or to be depressed about, or to be worried about. Like, you just can't, just because of what you just saw, what you just experienced. So I like the word challenging, because it encounters or encompasses both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think you summed it up really well. Nancy, what's the one word that sticks out in your mind when you think about the work that we do?
The word tonight, and the word I think every time we complete the grant committee, we finalize the process on the committee, is blessed. Honestly, it
that
for
was
me,
my word.
I find being able to do this work truly a privilege and a blessing to me, as well as much as to the families who are receiving the grants. There's so much behind that, but again, as was already said, you can't do this work, you can't finish this and not realize how much bigger the world is than just your issues. And so there are, I won't lie, there's a lot of times where as much as it's not a huge time commitment, there are just times when you are coming home from work and you say, oh my gosh, I have the grant committee call and it's at 8 o'clock tonight and I didn't finish all of my reviews yet. And I don't want to be the only one who's not done. And so there's this pressure, and it can be a little bit stressful, right? Because you're just trying to fit this in with the rest of your life and your day, and things don't go the way you plan, and certainly never go the way I plan. So, but when you're done, all of it goes away. And there is always that moment when at the end of each meeting and at the end of each grant committee timeframe, that you just sit back, and that's the word that always just kind of comes back over me, is saying, this is a blessing to me in my life as much as it is to everybody else. And it extends out to your family members as well, because you just, like you said, it's makes you remember that things are bigger than you, and but also allows you to be a part of a whole nother group of people, to meet this group of people, to work with the people on the grant committee is another part of that blessing. People that I've been on the phone with, Dr. Naomi, and not realize I've even seen you in person before. I'm going, wait, that's what she looks like, because we've done conference calls in the past before this world of virtual living, but I'm on the phone with this group of people, and so they become a part of your life as well. So it's just extending your family, extending your network. There's so many little nuances to it, but every one of them, that word blessing just always comes back. We start our calls with a prayer. That's a blessing in and of itself, is how we're rooted, and what this organization is about is just there's a spirituality behind it. There's a family behind it. There's that's it. I don't know how else to say it. I just feel incredibly
you
blessed.
took the words right out of my mouth, and exactly what I was thinking. Every call, every grant committee starts with a daunting task. How are we going to get through all these applications, and we're only able to award 20 families. And then you get through the journey of it, and you read each application, and you see the profound challenges that people face, and yet they're thankful for what they have. And then you see how blessed you are to have your family, and then to be able to be part of the organization, and to at least give back in a very real way, as opposed to just writing a check. Not that that doesn't matter, because that's what we're here for. But those micro involvements, like you say, it increases the depth of what you're doing, and it just leaves me with a feeling of gratitude, and a feeling of really being blessed, and trying to give back, at least in a small way, as much as possible. So talking in those notes, what's the most memorable moment you think, like coming with all these years of grant committee experience? What's some of the memorable moments, one or two, that you could take away from?
I can start with that one. I thought about this question earlier, and there's a very, very long list of things. If I had to pin it down to one thing, it would absolutely have to be the 10-year anniversary gala, the celebration. I think when the video of the grant, the thank yous from some of the families that received the grants, my daughter was with me at that event. I remember I was a mess. I was crying and elated and just ecstatic, but also just looked back and couldn't believe, my gosh, this has been 10 years and look at where it is and what it's become and what it's done. But seeing the families in the videos, I mean, every year the videos are unbelievable. Even if it's just one or two families that we got to have that recorded video to play for everybody. But that was it. That 10-year anniversary just really just blew me away.
That was very memorable. Noma, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think for me, for just have been doing the serving on the grant committee for 1 year, it would be two things. The video, like I said at the beginning when you asked an earlier question, that's just, I can't get it out of my mind. It pulls at such emotional strings. I don't think any human can watch that and not be moved or not be compelled, or yeah, so that's definitely very memorable. The second part for me, especially on the grant committee, was the day we said we are done. I was like, well, we got through this. Because at the beginning it was like, how are we going to narrow this down? Everyone needs, and these are families, everyone needs something. How can we don't have enough money to give everybody? We need to select X number of people for this grants, but we got it done. I was like, at the last meeting that we had where we said, oh yeah, so we finalized, I was like, wait, we did? And then I went back to look at the people who were awarded. So that was very memorable for me, at least as a first timer, just having that, oh yes, we got this done. That was a good feeling too.
Yeah, that is definitely a feeling of accomplishment. For me, I like to say that, coming together with all of the different committee members, every year we have a different mix of people, some who return year after year, some new folks, and then when they get entrenched into the evaluation, and then, we try really hard to get consensus because, everybody comes in with their own viewpoints, but, how we've managed to kind of review those applications and really try to understand what the circumstances are for the families and try to make the most of what we have as funds. That's something that when we come together, that's always memorable. What's the other aspects that are memorable are things that people ask for, which are actually memorable and heartbreaking at the same time, because they ask for fence for, and to manage an elopement risk for a child, a bunk bed that they are not able to afford. Very, very simple things that we may take for granted. And that always stays with my mind, saying, okay, we absolutely need to do what we can for those families and try to raise funds, bigger and better next year, so we can address more of these concerns as they come up. And hopefully we'll be in a day where these are no longer concerns, but until they are, we will continue to put our efforts in to do what we can to help support this organization. So Genevieve, with that, I'll turn it back to you to see if you have any questions for us and our panelists.
Absolutely. I mean, this was so enlightening. And can you just talk a little bit about how each one of you, in terms of I think you've shared it already, how that's made you feel, but for people watching out there, what is the take-home message that you want to give them about the need to support?
Well, I'll go first. Please donate to MyGOAL. First and foremost, if there is any takeaway message, there is really nothing that's kept for administrative and operational expenses that's kept to a minimum. This organization is run solely by volunteers who give up their time. So any funds that are donated are immediately put to good use. And as you've heard from the students that were on here before, and also the panelists that were here, we'll all contribute of our time to be able to provide as many families with the resources that they need in the way that we can.
Awesome.
Nancy?
Yeah, the need is real. It is, again, as Sudha had mentioned, just heartbreaking every year to read these letters. Occasionally someone will send a picture and it just melts your heart when you actually see the child that the grant is asked to help support in the family. But I do want everybody to understand who is considering either donating or volunteering. This is a very, very serious business. The grant committee is very serious about this. It is, we take it with great importance what our job is, what our task is to do with this money. And if you are considering donating any amount of money towards this cause, just know that the committee takes it with such seriousness and really wants to ensure that everything is being done appropriately. We're very scientific about it. We meet afterwards. We review what we did for that session. We try to improve and make things better each time for the next session so that we can become more efficient, more responsive. But again, that just, again, to make sure that everybody really considers that the need is so real. And for those of you who don't see it, just know that we do. And as we read these letters, we just want to give something to everybody. And we're just looking for as much support as possible in any way, shape, or form. Every little bit helps, every bit of time, every bit of money to support this cause.
Thank you, Nancy. Noma?
Yeah, so I was reading something that a study that someone put out there that was saying by measuring levels of hormones and brain activity, that researchers have discovered that being helpful to others delivers immense pleasure, actually. That the way human beings are hardwired, they're hardwired to give to other people. So the more we give, the happier we are. So I'm saying that to say, if you haven't tried it, MyGOAL is the place to start. And trust me, you would not regret it. And no amount is too small. Like your giving is impactful, right? So no one should look down on whatever they set it in their heart to give and say, these people are talking about putting fences and bunk beds and helping families with autism, and as like my $50 cannot do it. No, that's not true. I think every amount given goes a long way. Give, volunteer your time if you can. There are lots of opportunities to be involved in MyGOAL. All you have to do is reach out to Jenny, reach out to Dr. G. I'm sure they will give you a breakdown of ways that you can help. This organization is run by a lot of people who volunteer. So, and that's a good way to keep their costs down. When you talk about organizations that are accountable with the money that you give to them, MyGOAL is one of them. So you can be sure that every dollar you give is put to good use and is directly going to help families with autism. So definitely, if you've not jumped on this bus before, you're just hearing about MyGOAL, or for some reason you just tuned in because you saw the live notification on Facebook, don't be left behind. You will not regret it. Please join us and donate and join us and make an impact with MyGOAL.
Wow. I couldn't have said it any better than that. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Like Nancy said in the beginning, and one thing that she didn't mention was one of the fun activities and fundraisers we have is the Bowl-a-thon, the Bowling for Autism event. And I recall she was one of those instruments in making sure that thing happened. And for 12 years, I just want to publicly acknowledge that for 12 years, we've done it, and every year she would get Holy Name Hospital after Holy Name Medical Center. Now I changed it. I know it as Holy Name Hospital. Holy Name Medical Center was one of the first hospitals to kind of support us, and they gave us resources to kind of make it happen. And so when she said that, these are people who see the need and value the need. And I draw a lot of inspiration for all of you guys. Anytime I'm thinking that, okay, I'm going to quit this job called MyGOAL. Look at them. They're all shaking their head like, no.
You're not allowed to.
No way, and it just evolves because there are people like you who make it happen. You believe in the vision, and you see the stories of the families, and you are able to really help to make it. And like Nancy said, and Sudha, you alluded to it, you have at least 8 to 9 reviewers, so that Sudha brought this whole scientific concept to it, and they look at standard deviation from the scores. OMG, you should see them. If I can just speak to, I just want you guys to talk about that part, because I think it's important that people know how scientific you get, because you said it, but what does that mean?
Well, it means that we try to take subjectivity as much as possible out of these grant application review process. As we kind of, all of us, had a personal experience, when you read it, you want to give everybody the award, and knowing that you can't, and knowing that, emotions run high, we've got to try to keep it as objective as possible. And so, when we use the standard deviation process, so that we could see, okay, did somebody score, very high? We have a rubric with scores, and then we do allow subjectivity into it, because obviously every family situation is unique. But then we look and see, we talk about it and say, why did we score this person this way versus somebody else may have scored it a little lower or higher? And then try to discuss that particular application, and then see if we can come to some kind of a consensus. And then try to be as objective as possible in our final evaluation in a very tough and challenging situation. So that's why we have the standard deviation. And if it's more than one, then we are all over it. We look at it, we go back to it and say, okay, is this really how we want to go? And then why did we do this, and how we did that, and reasonings and all of that. And then we get to a point where we're all comfortable with our decision. And that's why, as the number of applications grew, we made a big push to get more volunteers to review the applications, so that we can have those different points of view, and folks picking up things from a very large application that maybe another person may have missed, and bring a perspective that you share with the entire group. So we think it's worked well.
It can get a little stressful, for sure. You open up that spreadsheet on that night, and you hope everybody scored the same, and you realize you scored somebody really high and somebody else scored somebody really low, and you're like, oh no, this is going to be a rough one. But we talk it all through. You start to realize who you tend to align with and who you don't, and eventually you kind of pull it all together, and everybody gives their thoughts on something, and you so there is that, can get a little bit tense, but the committee works so incredibly well together, and kind of encourage each other, but it is that spreadsheet, man, it's a rough one.
It's funny because I'm actually grateful for the standard deviation, because emotions are a good thing to have, but you cannot be led by emotions. They would have you running all over the place. So just having some kind of process to have an objectivity to the whole thing, that really, really helps actually. Otherwise, I don't think we will be going as far as quickly as we have. And to be able to, at the end of the day, say, I think we did a good job with what we could do. Like, I don't think we necessarily could have said that if we don't have some kind of objective process to look at it. So I'm glad we do have that. Yeah.
Noma, I think more than once you were the voice of reason for this year's grant committee. Being the first
the fresh eyes, you need the fresh view and the fresh eyes. But also just want to mention Sudha's leadership in that effort as well, and kind of keeping us all on track and honest, and reviewing things again when the process is over each year, so that we just continue to try to make it better, going back to the board, talking to the board about how we can do it, offering new ideas, new concepts, changing it up from year to year. So Sudha, thank you for your leadership on the committee.
Yeah, it's the entire committee that does that, because we never feel satisfied. And I think I love the committee for it, because it's not like, yeah, okay, we did this, wrap it up. It's like, nope, we had these holes, we had these challenges. Can we plug them? How can we do better next time? And that's what I love about, how the committee operates, and how, dedicated everybody is. to this process because we know we're doing something good, and we just want to, continue to do that.
Awesome. Well, this has been very insightful conversation. I'm sure for families out there who are watching you guys now, they see the faces behind. I'm like, yes, these are the people who are making those decisions. Jenny and I get to send those letters to say, congratulations, or yeah, my bad, I'm so sorry, apply again next year. And like they said, we want to be able to expand how many people we continue to help. COVID or no COVID, the needs are still there. The needs are real. Consider, saying, I want to partner with MyGOAL. And we are here tonight and want to invite Jenny to show us how you can partner with us. Because I think it's very important that people know how we can do that. So Jenny, if you want to share a little bit about that, that'll be great.
You got it. So I'm going to share my screen here and get everybody to see. Okay. So this is our campaign page. This is our baby. This is where you will land. This shows you all of our impact over the last 12 years during the COVID pandemic season. We've got some great flyers up here. All you simply have to do is just click donate now. And once you click donate now, it's going to tell you our different sponsorship levels. We've got gold, silver, bronze. It's going to show you the different donation levels we have, the Circle of Journey supporters. It's going to also show you who has donated. So look at all these people who have donated recently, and they are the reason why our thermometer is over 10,000. We're at 10,045. Our goal is 20,000. So, I mean, I think our grant committee members said it best. The need is so real, obviously. So this is where you guys can land. There's so many other places you can donate though. You can text the word impact to 732-532-2054. You can Venmo us at MyGOAL-autism. There's PayPal at MyGOAL. All of these links and everything are posted a million times in the comments on your Facebook, but I'll just keep posting them for you. And then we also have, because we couldn't be together in person, we've got our campaign page. So once you land on this, our auction page, once you land on this page, it'll take you over to our very cool auction page where you can purchase your 50/50 tickets. And don't be alarmed, but some of them are gone. So these 50/50 tickets are already purchased. We've got some purchased down below also. When you buy 50/50 tickets for us for this event, they come in packs of 10. So you'll get an email from me. It'll have your ticket stub. It'll tell you what numbers you are. For 10 tickets, it's $50. We're going to be pulling 3 winners on our Night of Impact night. So just another reason why you want to donate and get these tickets in. You don't have to be present to win the tickets. And then on our second page over here is where the fun really begins. Some of these items are already gone. There was a bidding war going on just before. So some are gone, but these are our items that you can bid on. So all you simply have to do is just click on whatever item you're interested in. We've got some wine and bath packages, a campground up in North Jersey posted or gave us vouchers for snow tubing. We've got some really great items that were just donated. So all this stuff can be purchased. Obviously the Fire Stick is no longer available. There was a bidding war on that. There's a Ring doorbell. There's some one-of-a-kind items. There's a signed New York Giants poster. We've got a TV. We've got a Starbucks gift card, Chipotle gift card, and every day more items are getting added to this list. You'll simply just go on, click whatever the starting bid is. You put your bid in, and once you fill out all this information, it will tell you once you've been outbid. So you'll know that you got to get back in here to get your bid back. But yeah, these are all the ways to give. I encourage you all to head over to this website. It'll take you everywhere you need to go. If you have any trouble, just reach out to me, Jenny at mygoalautism.org. But yeah.
All right. Well, that was amazing. As you see, we're getting creative every year. We try. So we couldn't be live, but we feel that the need is there. And so you have a choice to just donate straight. And, even if you go to mygoalautism.org on our website, you can get to all these pages that she just talked about as well. You can join a 50/50 raffle. You can find ways. But what I also need you to do is share the information you've heard tonight. This video is telling because it talks about how the scientific process. You see why these scientists are very important. Science is key. So we want to objectify a subjective emotional piece on an issue, because the journey is real, the challenge is real, but the impact we're making is also real, as you heard tonight. So as we're walking into the week of impact, we'll be back on Thursday night. Thursday night at 7 p.m., we're going to have another set of guests, and our focus is on Haven International, the other arm of the work that we're doing overseas. And it just tells you that the need is so global and the need is so great that we need to find ways to really make the point that MyGOAL started off as a baby two concept. You have two individuals who are here who knew me from when I was starting it. Suda, at a time, I was working with her at St. Peter's, and Nancy even knew when I just at the time when Nicholas was diagnosed, and had walked the journey with me incredibly all this time, and have continued to be a source of support. And so I want to thank them. I want to acknowledge our board president, Reverend Lorraine Priestley Smith, our vice president, Pastor Jude Larwe, our secretary Suda. The other board members include Fola Fakunda. And they talked about these folks sit at a table every quarter. We meet and talk about the vision of the organization, and they are so supportive. And so I'm able to do what I do because of the wonderful board members that we have, Wendy, Tunji, Robert. These are also individuals who are continuing to be a blessing. We have a numerous amount of volunteers and advisory board members. I can't name all of them tonight, but I just wanted to kind of highlight these individuals who are here, all the different arms of the different people who have helped us to achieve what we've had. And so I want to thank you all tonight for joining us. We've had a very enriching conversation. Thank you guys for me reaching out to you last minute, and you still did it anyway. I come to Nancy's office, I'm like,
I can't say no to you, Genevieve.
It's impossible.
But look at how great it's been. So I said, texted
Exactly.
you want to do an interview? Hi, Nancy, you want to be on a panel? Hey, no, I know it's last minute, but do you mind? Hey, Monica, can you drop everything you're doing and come on here? Hey, Jenny. So you can imagine my poor husband, what he says, like, this woman, did she stop already? I have to find a way to so thank you guys so much for tonight, and please share it with impact. We are making a difference, and because of you guys, and we promise you the videos are coming. We have the videos from this year's grant recipient. They will tell you. So you get to hear the videos on it. So we're saving that for that day, because I think that just to hear them responding back to what you guys have done, just so you know. And it just knowing that and Jenny was even sharing, some of them are texting online on the web, on Facebook, saying thank you to you. So it's just to say that indeed is really awesome. And I want you guys to share with your friends. It's not too late to do the fundraising work. We want to acknowledge Suda and her friend David Grish, who has really taken it on and trying to raise the funds for us, and then just send a link to them for the raffle page and things like that. And I think that would be great for us we need to hit our $20,000 mark, because otherwise there is no grant money for next year, and we can't have that. So we want to be able to get out there. So thank you guys tonight. Thank you, Monica. And thank you, Nehan. And thank you, the Rutgers student. You are wonderful. You guys rock. And for that, we want to say thank you. Good night for joining us on the Week of Impact. More info on mygoalautism.org. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.